Decorate a wedding anniversary cake with me. Part 2. So in part 1, I shared the brief with you, which was to recreate this wedding cake from 1995, but with my own added twist to make it more modern and unique. This is the design I sketched and I'm working towards. I made a detailed list of everything I needed to do to complete this cake. I started the preparation and now I'm ready for the next stage, which is layering and filling the cake. This cake is made up of 5 real tiers, with 4 tiers being 12 inches in width and 1 tier being 10 inches in width. I usually allow my customers to choose 1 flavor per tier. So my client chose 5 different flavors, 1 flavor per tier. As you can see, this one is vanilla with strawberry jam, and I always make sure to include a good amount of filling because I want every bite to be very flavorful. Other flavors chosen were lemon, Biscoff, also known as caramelized biscuit. And by the way, I do like to work with frozen cakes as it gives me a lot more control. The last 2 flavors are red velvet and coconut. Now, if you're a baker and you're struggling with this aspect or any other aspect of the cake decorating process, I do have classes on my website that you can purchase. After telling myself I could get this done in an hour, I managed to finish in 3 hours. But anyways, I was happy to be done. Now let's move on to covering the cakes in white chocolate ganache. This is going to be a fondant covered cake, but I first of all like to do a coating of white chocolate ganache, as this gives the cake some extra reinforcement and also helps me to get a nice crisp and clean fondant covering. During the process of preparing the tiers, I needed to make sure that 3 of them were exactly the same height, and that's because those 3 tiers would sit as 1 tier and then the next tier would go on top, so I needed to make sure that it would be as level as possible. So here are all the real tiers covered in white chocolate ganache. Now let's move on to the fake tiers. The bottom 2 tiers were so big that my supplier had to ship them to me in halves. The bottomest tier is 33 inches in width, and I was so happy because I love making big cakes. More bigger ones to come, Lord willing. Because they came in halves, I had to improvise and attach them together, and then I did some extra reinforcement with some royal icing. Here are the remaining dummy tiers, and altogether there are 7 dummy tiers. It honestly took a lot of mental maths and thinking to get the sizing and proportions of the dummies right, but I was happy with it when it came and ready to continue with the cake. Now, one of the tiers is actually technically really not a tier, but I'm going to call it a tier anyway. I ordered a plinth spacer from Prop Options, and honestly, very amazing quality. I wanted an elegant looking spacer that would be able to take on the weight of the 10-inch tier that was going on top, so I reached out to Prop Options and they executed and delivered an amazing quality product really fast. I'll stop here for now and start decorating in part 3.